Hi everyone and welcome back to 5 Minute Family Search. So here I am again on the main page and we are going to go ahead in this video and we're going to talk about memorials. Now, memorials section means searching the millions of grave records here that are listed in Find a Grave. So there's a couple ways that you can do this. Here is the information, and I talked in other videos for the family search videos of how to keep your information open. And when I say that, I mean not being too specific. If a name like my family name Vriesacker is kind of a non-common name, and so when I search, I can put in a first name and the last name Vriesacker, or I can keep that more open so that I can find lots of Vriesackers. So let me show you what I mean by this. So I can click on Memorial up here in the top left-hand corner, or as I said in the other video, I can just start searching right here. So I am just going to come up here and it says first name, middle name, last name. Last name is a requirement. The year they were born, the year they died, and if you notice here, it has this click down button that says exact, or you can say you want to go before this year, the exact year, or after that year. And so that is an opportunity that you can click on for the years, and for the year that they were born and the year that they died. For me personally, I don't open those. I just leave them where they are because I don't fill in those fields. I just leave those blank because I just go by name. Cemetery location, I'm just going to put a state in when we start working here. Memorial ID, this here is an ID number that is assigned to each person when they are entered into Find a Grave. So if you've been in Find a Grave before and you know the memorial ID that for that person, you can just go ahead and type it in or paste it in right here and it will pull up that specific person for you. Now, date filter, if I click on this, I just always leave that alone because then it's going to search everybody. But I could search all the Vriesackers that were listed in the last 24 hours on Find a Grave, 7 days, 30 days, 90 days. So I can see if there's been anybody that has been recently added. And then over here by order by, when I do that, I can list everybody by their name, by their birth date, the death date, or the cemetery. Meaning if I type in the word Smith and there's 2,000 that have come up in the last 90 days, I can come down here and I can order them by their birth date. And it will tell me all of the people in order by the date that they were born that have been added to Find a Grave in the last 90 days. These down here underneath by memorial types, I can just look for people who are famous or who have been sponsored. I can come in here and I can just look for people with their by their nicknames, their maiden name, a partial last name, and I can just look for memorials that don't have any grave photos or that only have grave photos or that have flowers added to them, and I will teach you all about that. So let's keep it very broad to begin. I'm going to ignore the first name and the middle name, and I'm just going to come back here and put in Vriesacker. Now, my mom's side of the family, my grandfather on my mom's side, his family are the Vriesackers, and they came over from Belgium. So my great grandparents came over from Belgium through Ellis Island. My great grandfather came first, and then my great grandmother came separate and she actually had a little sign around her neck because she didn't speak English and it said, please send me to Wisconsin, and it had the city and information on there. But she just wore that around her neck to help her to get to the United States and to get to her husband who was waiting for her in Wisconsin. So I know that all the Wisconsin Vriesackers are my relatives, and there's not many Vriesackers in the United States to begin with. So I am just going to go ahead and start typing in Wisconsin. It'll bring this up for me and I can just go ahead and click on that. I am just going to ignore all these other things because like I said, I just want to see the Vriesackers that are listed in Wisconsin. I go ahead and I click search. And when I do, there are 7 and I can come through here and I can see all of the Vriesackers who have been listed in Find a Grave in the state of Wisconsin. Now this here is my grandfather. I'm going to go back out and I'm just going to hit the back arrow, or I can come in here to refine search. Whatever you want to do, this is probably easier. I can click refine search. I'm going to go ahead and put in his first name. We know it's Albert. He was one of my bestest friends in the whole wide world. I'm going to go ahead and click search, And now it is just going to find the Albert Vriesacker in Wisconsin. And this is my grandfather right here. So I'm just going to go ahead and click on his name. And when I do, I come up to this. I have the opportunity to, up in the top right-hand corner, I can share this information with somebody. I can save it to my computer, or I can suggest that there needs to be some editing done, that somebody has made a mistake. So I come here, here's his name, here's his picture, here's all his vital information, his birth, his death, where he was buried, the GPS coordinates, and then this is the member ID, I'm sorry, not member, memorial ID that I was telling you about, this 1402 number. Again, every person that is put in Find a Grave is given a memorial ID number, and that is his. And so that is another way I can search. So underneath, you'll see it says Memorial, Photos, and Flowers. Right now we're in Memorial, and we're just going to come down and scroll a little bit, and we're going to say Read More. Somebody has gone in after he passed away, and they added in all of his information, including his obituary. And so you can read this. And the great thing about this is if I didn't know any information, say I didn't know his birthday, I could come in here, and here I'm starting to find his vital information. He was born July 10 in 1917 in Superior, Wisconsin, to Belgian-born immigrants. It goes through and talks about his high school, what he did for a job. Here it talks about his first wife and his children and their spouses. It talks about us as his grandchildren. And then it comes down here and it talks about when his funeral services were. If you continue down, family members are listed. This was his wife when he passed away. She was currently living, Betty Vriesacker. She was actually his second wife. But I love finding this family information that is attached because if I click on it, I'm going to go ahead and click on it. And when I do, it's going to bring me up to her Find a Grave information. And so now I have the same thing that I just had for my grandfather, but I have it for my grandmother. And I can read down. Now for her, all that other information was not attached. So I do get her spouse and I get her vital information, but I'm not getting her actual obituary attached. So that is something that I could do. I could go and find that and type it in or scan it in and add that into Find a Grave so that we could have a more complete record for her. But I'm going to come back over here to my grandfather and I just click on his picture and on his name. And so here we are back in the memorial section, and this is just what we looked at. To the right, I can add photos or I can request a photo for somebody to take a picture for me. Say I wanted an actual picture of his headstone. I could go ahead and click request photo and request that information. So here on the right, back in the middle of the screen, as I said before, we were on memorial. We're going to come over here to photos, and somebody has entered in this photo. And then I also can click flowers. Flowers are just virtual flowers that you can go in and you can click leave a flower. You can pick one of these flowers that they have listed here, and then you can go in and type in a message, and it will just attach the flower to his record here. And so I think that's everything that I actually want to show you on these pages. We're going to go back to the memorial page. And again, any information that you deem necessary, you can come in and you can click add photos and you can go ahead and type in more information into a relative's record that you have found on Find a Grave. But that is how you use the memorial section of Find a Grave.